In your opinion, what's the chemical sector going to look like in the short term?
Well, in the short term, we're being adversely affected by, just like everybody else, with the rising cost of fuel. That's dampening our results. But the freight rates are coming up. We've renewed some contracts of affreightment recently at some pretty significant increases, 8, 10, 12%. But the net results are down because of the price of oil. And they go hand in hand. Obviously, we're getting more freight and higher freight rates because of the price of fuel, just like the airlines, right? That's the short term. A lot of that is due to consternation of what's going on in the Middle East, obviously. The unfortunate tsunami situation has had its effect. Like I said, those are short-term effects. The long-term effect, the long-term outlook, much better, much, much better. You look at, we always say it, India, China, the fundamental demand for consumer goods in places like that call for the chemical feedstocks, the type of cargoes that BLT Chembulk carries.
What regions are key to your business today?
Well, obviously, the developing economies in East Asia, China, India. I think the key is the changing demographics of the trade routes. The U.S. Gulf and Europe were always the key suppliers of chemicals to those regions. Now the Middle East Gulf will become a key supplier. That's going to change a lot of the, I don't think demographics is the right word, a lot of the fundamental, the ton mile demand, things like that, because it's a shorter route. But the chemical tanker sector is geared up for that. Obviously, the new building programs that have been in place 2007 through 2011. The ships have been delivered, either that or factored in. So 2012 going forward, as the demand goes up, we're very bullish about the outlook for the chemical tanker sector.
Do you think you're going to see more fleet expansion from other companies?
I don't think so, not in the short term. Owners have taken it on the chin with their new building program, as you know. Now, some of the shipyards in northern Japan were adversely affected by the tsunami, so it's a question that some of the ships that were to be delivered 2011, 2012 may not be delivered. I hesitate to even say that's a blessing in disguise because there's nothing good that comes out of the tsunami. But you understand that if there's fewer ships, that has a supply-demand effect on what's going on. But I don't see fleet expansion in the near future. I see fleet reduction through the older ships being scrapped. But of course, we know what happens when ship owners make money. They order new ships.
Tell us about the new structure at BLT Chembulk.
Well, when BLT bought Chembulk in December of 2007, it was the fourth piece of their chemical tanker arm. Many people may not know that BLT has 6 what they call business pillars: chemical tankers, oil and gas, FPSO, storage, and Indonesian cabotage. Chemical tankers are only one of those structures, and there were 4 companies that for a couple of years were operating relatively autonomously. When we came together late last fall, technically effective Jan 1 of this year, as BLT Chembulk Group, 62 chemical tankers operating globally under unified management. It's going very well. We just came from executive board meetings in Jakarta, and so far so good.
Where do you see rates going in the short term and the long term?
As I said, things are creeping up. What I said last year, I believe, was that the bleeding had stopped. The bleeding has definitely stopped. There's no question about that. I see a gradual increase as the supply is being integrated into the overall market. Notwithstanding the short-term effects of the Middle East, of Japan, of the price of oil, we're heading upwards. And this is supported by organizations, for instance, like the American Chemistry Council, which has predicted a supercycle, a longer and stronger peak. Because you know that the underlying chemical business itself is fundamentally a cyclical business. So a longer and stronger peak, which could bode very well for the chemical tanker industry, because if the chemical markets are doing well, so should the chemical tanker markets.
What could be the saving grace for the chemical sector?
I think fundamental growth in the developing economies. China, there's an average of 60 cars per 1,000 people. Here in the United States, it's 800 cars. The growth potential is phenomenal.
What do you think about Brazil?
Well, Brazil is one of the BRICS, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China. So that's right in there. It's a very strong economy. They have a lot going for it. You know, the ethanol market with the sugar cane. Of course, I'm just talking about the chemical tanker sector. Petrobras has been forecast to potentially become bigger than ExxonMobil. I think that speaks for itself.